see what we got going on here, right? So the first one up we're going to take a look at is Darien. Darien's tier 7 and 8 abilities. Let's go to races. So Darien, kind of been underwhelming. I did take my Darien up to gear 11 beforehand in my personal account. So, okay. So his tier 7 here, he adds some physical damage and 100% physical damage to orcs. To me, that still does absolutely nothing to help him with his kit. Inspiring Blow. 50% physical damage, 50% chance to imply armor increase, 2 enemies take damage. So now it goes up to 5 enemies. So essentially, unless they have the summons, it's a true AoE. Applies an armor increase to 3 allies. This should be the whole team as well. Definitely way better than his basic. Battle Cry. At level 7, gives him 25% more health, reduces the initial cooldown by 1, and it removes 1 more debuff. That's a pretty solid one, actually. I like that. And then here, it's 4 debuffs removed. That's pretty solid. And it gets a tenacity increase. I said, you know, those tier 8s really aren't in, they're not even in the game yet, so. But this level of 7, reducing the initial cooldown by 1, could really help him out underneath that human team, or really any team that you need a tank. And then removing 3 debuffs, recovering 50% health. That's a pretty solid one. I don't know if I'd spend the mats on Darien to do it, but not bad at all. And then reinforcements at level 7. He gains a 50% chance to dodge, to gain a dodge increase. So now he gains the dodge increase for 1 turn on his passive ability at the end of his turn. And gives himself 25% magic armor. That one, again, is also interesting. I really kind of like the way that plays out. And the dodge increase is very solid. Physical and magical armor. That's nice. At the end of the turn, that's okay, because you would taunt and then get it instead of at the start of his turn. So at the end of his turn, you can get that taunt up and keep it. So that one's not bad. I kind of like that. The last 2. Again, I don't know if I'd spend on it, but... let's go to Failure. Alright, basic ability here. 220 magic damage to an enemy deals an additional 25% for each stack of regeneration on Failure. So they're giving her more damage right off the bat, and then they're giving her 5% more for each stack. Level 8 is that's a pretty significant jump on a basic ability. 270, and then deals an additional 30% of regeneration. Interesting. Failure, I mean, on her basic, she was already doing pretty significant damage, so that could be pretty interesting. Her Poison Ivy here deals 290. We get a bump of 50% magic, 25% to poison the additional targets, and 1 poison stack for each additional target. So 290, and then 2 random enemies. Damage is half for each enemy struck. Inflicts 2 stacks of poison on the main target and the additional 2 targets. And the additional targets for 2 turns. Very good for a poison comp. Thanisa, Amara do damage off of poisons, so that could be interesting. Now that she can kind of spread that poison around a little bit more on a 3-turn cooldown. Neurotoxin, she just gains 50% magic damage. 230 is still... That might be a little messed up because it should be 280. I was going to say 230, that's pretty low. So, 280, not bad. Slow on goblins for 2 turns. Okay. That's that one's kind of underwhelming to me. And here, she gains 5% magic damage and regeneration lasts 1 more turn. So, increases the magic damage by 25. When the battle starts, she gains 1 regeneration for 3 turns. If Singeal is an ally, 100% of health regenerated above the maximum is converted to shield. So that's nice if you're trying to build her up to get damage. You don't really see that 5% really be that impactful right off the bat, but not terrible. Hers, okay. Her basic's probably the best one in my mind. I mean, from the small amount of testing. I didn't test Failure. You know, I really haven't. I've tested a couple, but not anything real big. So let's get down to demons here. And we'll check out Kyra. I'm interested to see Kyra for sure. So her basic ability goes from 230 to 280. Okay. This should have went up a little bit on a T7 in my opinion. The 50% should have gone up to 65, 75%. You know, with the damage increase, that would have been a much more impactful T7. Here, we have 60% physical damage, so it deals 300 now. So on an AoE, that's okay. I'll take that. And it goes up to a 60% chance to daze for 2 turns. That's a really positive one. I like that. Stops the turn meter train, stops counterattacks, stops the assists. I like that. That could be very beneficial. Go Dark. Tier 7, you're only getting a turn meter. So it goes from 25 to 30% turn meter. And here you gain 50% turn meter. Dodge increase to self and all mages for 2 turns, and all defenders gain a tenacity increase. So you're implying invisibility, and then you're getting a damage or dodge increase. So usually you take on like AoE when people go invisible. So I guess it makes sense, but the dodge increase, you know, it would be cool if it was a damage increase or something like that. Debuff immunity for 1 turn, something cool like that. The dodge increase, well, it sounds like it could be good. In all practicality, it might not, because you're invisible. You really can't get targeted, you know, unless those AoEs come through. And then on her passive, 5% damage and 5% potency. So increases damage by 30 and potency by 30 when invisible. 5% on each really isn't going to make that big of a difference. Potency might, yeah, I mean, that might push you over. But Kyra's to me are kind of a little bit underwhelming, I think. So let's stay in the demons and check out Shadar. I believe he was the next one. I'm pretty excited to see what his is going to bring. So basic ability, 310. You only gain 50% more magic damage. Now, he's not a heavy damage dealer on his basic. So 50%. Inflicts an armor decrease. Maybe extend that to 3 turns. That kind of would have been a little bit better. Kind of underwhelming. Power of Earth. 80 magic damage at level 7. So that goes from a 460 to a 540. Huge. 666%. That's a lot. Stuns the target for 2 turns. That's a good T7 in my mind. That's a real good one. That's going to make him hit even harder. Here he gets 10% more turn meter. Okay. Increases magic damage by 12%. So it goes from 10 to 12% for each living demon. So that gives you an extra 10% with a full demon party. Those are kind of disappointing, except for this. The Power of Earth is pretty dang solid. I really like that one. The other ones are kind of like, So, I mean, if I might only put 1 on him at that point. So not terrible. Now we're going to go back up to elves, and Sinjil was next on the list. And Sinjil I'm pretty excited to read. I have not read Sinjil. I waited to see this because I actually put in some input on Sinjil ideas, and I want to see if they used any of them. So, deals 240 magic damage, and still 50%, and that's supposed to go up to 60%. Alright, so no, that is not... I did, let's say, up the chance and up some damage. So I guess that one is a little bit. Here, T7 applies 2 stacks of regeneration for 3 allies with the lowest health for 2 turns. Restores 60% of turn meter. That one's big. Now, when I gave some suggestions, I did talk about, ways to speed him up. And that's it. That's actually a really good idea. I like that. That's going to really help Sinjil. He's one of the slowest characters in the game that's not a defender. And there are some defenders that are faster than him. So, you know, that's interesting, and that could really, really help out. The other things I said is maybe like restoring shield off regenerations, things like that, to try to up his survivability. But the big issues that I pointed out, at least that I said, was Sinjil was survivability and speed, and this is a good way to address it. Automatically flat rate, 60% turn meter. I like that one. And then here, heals the target by 600%. And applies regeneration and reduces the max cooldown. That is a good one too, because a 4-turn cooldown on this, he's dead before you get there. So I do like that it's on a 3-turn cooldown now. I still would have liked to seen a little bit more brought into his kit on the restore, maybe 2 allies. You know, something like a mass heal would really help him out. But let's see what they did with the passive. 3% magic damage for each stack of regeneration. Regeneration and cheat death for 2 turns at the start of the battle. Okay, so you're putting it on him, so you're automatically buffing him up, and then you gain cheat death. All right, I give this one about a B. They addressed some things that they needed here with the speed and the survivability. Now, I wish there was a way we could have tied that cheat death into, like the regenerations. Kind of like Renara does. If there's 5 cheat deaths on the battlefield, you gain a cheat death at the end of your turn. Or regenerations. You know what I'm trying to say. But alright, so after Sinjil we have Count Delman. So we're sticking with the elves. Count Delman, not sharp. Count Delman, not too bad. I like Count Delman. I always have. I'm one of those people who like him, so I'm pretty excited to see what they got going on here. Level 7 and 8 on his basic. 55% physical damage brings his basic up to a 325. 30% chance to increase a cooldown of a random ability. I like that little addition. Okay. I actually like that quite a bit. It's only a 30% chance on the, you know, but okay. And then 390, that's a massive basic. Massive basic. So we're on the Mark of Death, physical damage by 70% and an armor decrease for 3 turns. Okay, so that's going to buff the damage from the rest of your team. Still doesn't address the issue with the Mark of Death. That it should have brought down the initial cooldown of this by 1. That would have made a really big difference in my mind, because the Mark of Death is like a taunt on somebody. Well, there's a sore lack of dispellers in this game, so to get the Mark of Death, right, by the time this comes up, they already got their taunt up, for the most part. 90% of the time, there's a taunt up. And then you got to hold on to your Mark of Death till you get the tank down. So the initial cooldown, he should have been able to use Mark of Death on his first move. That would have really been more impactful. The damage increase is really nice. The armor decrease, I understand why they put it in there. But it still didn't address the one issue I really had with that move. Here, Count Delman gains a dodge increase in haste for 2 turns, recovers 50% turn meter. All allies gain crit damage increase for 2 turns. So he went from 25% turn meter to 50 and then gained haste. Not bad. Okay. Alright. So he gains 100 penetration and 5% crit chance. So he gains 600 penetration now. If Thelaine is an ally, Count Delman and Thelaine increase physical damage by 15%. So they really made him kind of like a damage dealer, the way they took his T7s. Because he was kind of like, you didn't really know how to rune him. I mean, you could really get that damage up. Again, this one's probably about a B. Maybe B minus for me. Like, none of them have really jumped out and been awesome so far. Hera. Just 300% physical damage. Alright. Okay. Maybe 2 stacks a combo. You know? Something like that. Again, Her big problem, she wasn't really a good damage dealer, and she's squishy as all could be, so really, okay. Kind of underwhelming on that one. Deals an extra 80% physical damage and 10% extra physical damage. Deals an extra 50% physical damage for each stack removed of combo. But you're still, you see with her, you're still waiting to build that combo up. She dies so quickly, so hopefully there's some sort of way they can keep her alive a little bit longer. Here. Reduced initial cooldown by 1. Okay. And counterattack for 2 turns. Oh, well, they just answered all my questions. That's actually really good rework right there. Because you can pop that faster, you get that dodge increase, and then you get counterattack. So if somebody does AoE you, or if you've been hit before that, the Oasis Shadow isn't going to put the invisibility on you. So then people will try to get you out of there instead of going after maybe like a Salvador, right? Now you have that counterattack. You're going to be using your basic, going to give you that combo, right? Is that one? Yeah. Not bad. Actually, really like that so far. Now it's all making a little bit more sense. And then she gains 5% turn meter. If she doesn't take any damage, she turns invisible and gains 1 turn for 1 turn and recovers 35% of turn meter at the end of her next turn. So making her faster to try to build that combo up. She's still really, really squishy. They didn't really address that part, but this one could be one of my favorites that we've read so far. I'm going to give this one like a solid B+, A-. Really like that. Now, Instructor Goram, he's super slow. He doesn't do that much damage. It's really about being a leader for the half-pigs, or getting at him as taunt, and dropping his minions. So those are my big issues with Instructor Goram. Here, 45% physical damage, and if the hit is critical, Adam gains taunt for 2 turns instead of 1. That's big, but they put that in there, but he's the only leader we have for the half-pigs, so you're really not running him with Adam much anymore, so that is interesting. Alright, Piggy Cry summons 1 half-pig minion, 10% health for summon minions and damage. Would have been nice if that was 2 minions. That would have been pretty solid. Maybe a T8 on that for 2 minions. Because you don't really care about their damage, because you just want them to get to that stun. Or that daze, you know? Okay. Here we got 80% physical damage. Potency increase to all allied half-pig minions. That's big. 410 to an enemy. And then he calls in the minions to assist. Now, the potency increase for them is big to stick those dazes and stuns. And here, 5% crit damage, 2% crit damage for each living half-pig, and 1% crit damage for each living half-pig minion. Okay. I mean, they can't make him absurd. Maybe that'll make a difference with all that combination. But they're still hanging on to the Adam synergy. I'm not really feeling this one. They didn't really address his speed. He didn't gain any turn meter. You know, they did answer some damage. But, again, he's so slow. Yeah. The initial cooldown on this would have been... Or not that one. This one. This one would have been huge for an initial cooldown. That would have been really big. But, alright, Instructor Goram kind of underwhelming. Sticking with the Gobos, let's go to Amara. Now, Amara. Level 7. 30% magic damage increase, 50% chance to deal to an additional target. So she's automatically going to deal to that additional target more damage. Good T7 upgrade right there. Deals 280 magic damage to all enemies and inflicts burning for 2 turns. So they're giving a magic damage boost and then 2 stacks of burning. Wowzas. Wow. That's even more damage for her. Anthanisa, that is monstrous. 50% more magic damage on the medium well, 20% extra magic damage for each stack of burning or poison. Woo! Woo! She already does crazy amount of damage. She is a dragon killer, so that is interesting. Amara and Thanisa gain 6% of their turn meter for each stack of burning and poison on the enemies at the end of their turn, but no more than 75%. Alright. Amaras were, they weren't like, another probably solid B+ in my opinion. Patriarch Chi. Oop. He gets a level 7 where he does 40% more magic damage and the shield size by 25%. Kinley and a random ally gain a shield equal to 50% of the damage dealt. That's big. That's big. An extra 25% of the shield with another 40% of the magic damage. Very, very interesting. Here, Tier 7 and Tier 8 on the Crane technique. 150% shield size. And removes 1 debuff. So now it's 3 debuffs removed. At level 8, 1000%. That's big. Removes all debuffs from an ally and restores 50% turn meter. That is an awesome Tier 8. That's what Tier 8 should be, in my opinion. There's a lot that could be played with that. There's a lot that could be done with that. Here on Meditation, all allies gain a tenacity increase, restores 260% of Patriarch Chi's magic damage to shield to all allied pandas, and applies a debuff immunity to all allied pandas for 2 turns. So now it reads that we gain a tenacity increase and applies it to all allies for 2 turns. That's awesome. Definitely helps us plug and play by abilities. Allies of the Order gain a tenacity increase and self-control. Restores 260% of Patriarch Chi's magic damage to shields on all allied pandas and applies debuff immunity for 2 turns. That is a solid, solid move. Then we have Fortitude. When applying a shield, you get 5% healing. Allies with full health gain 10% more shield instead. Well done. Patriarch Chi, solid A. I really like the way this sounds. Brings up his potential not only in a Kinley-led team, but in a Lake-led comp, I think as well, because they're squishier characters. Very, very interesting. Even him as a lead with Kinley in the background could be extremely interesting. Because you're right here, all allied healing abilities apply shield equal to 45%. So you put in the new healer. Patriarch Chi just took a big step up, I think. I really, really like that one. Alright, so we're back to the patch notes, and we went over all those. Now, quality of life improvements. You can now choose more than 1 tag in the hero filter. Now, I had this whole video shot ready to put out about tournaments, because I really actually like the new tournaments. Yeah, you're seeing mirror matches, but I'm having a lot of fun trying to think of different comps. Like one, I actually ran a whole half-pig team, and I did very, very well with it. I think I finished like 6th. So, I like that. I like it. It's more fun for me. But my big bitch about that is that it took freaking forever to find a team. So this is definitely going to help. So I didn't put that video out because it didn't help. Now they've made a balance change. Okay? Now, Amara. Medium well. We talked about this. It deals 340 physical damage to an enemy, plus an 80% magic damage for each stack of burning or poison. Reduces the duration by 1. Used to deal 340 magic damage plus 60% for each stack of burning to the target. Cooldown is 2 of 4. Used to be 4 of 5. This is just a balance change for me. She does crazy damage, and I think she's still going to do crazy damage. And remember, she got that new T7. So, insane. Bug fixes. Fixed typos in Kalui's ability description. Fixed an error that sometimes appeared after purchasing personal offers. Fixed an error that sometimes occurs when closing an offer. Addressed missing localization of an artifact sorting and other small bugs. And then we have Talius. Right? I love the way that just looks. It is solid. So let's jump back over to the game. This has been a super long video, and I'm going to try to edit it down a little bit. I like this guy. So we're just going to go right down to his Tier 6 abilities. Deals 300 physical damage to an enemy. Inflicts Mark of Death for 2 turns. Mark of Death allows the targeting of this enemy that are as if they were affected by taunt. The target cannot employ invisibility, and damage inflicted is increased by 15%. Wow. So you're starting with his basic. If I were doing this, and I haven't done his noob series, as you can see. Interesting. That really changes a lot with a Mark of Death on the basic. 360 physical damage to an enemy. If the enemy bullseye this is afflicted by Mark of Death, he takes 2 times more damage. Attack is guaranteed to land a critical hit on Mark of Death, and Mark of Death will be removed. This attack cannot be dodged. Okay, this could go very well with Delman, because sometimes you put up the Mark of Death on, you know, the damage dealer. The defender could put up their taunt. Delman could switch over to the defender. No, you can't switch with Mark of Death. Huh. But if he doesn't, say he doesn't get the Mark of Death, you lead with a different move, and the taunt comes up, he can wipe that so you can put it up on a damage dealer. Super interesting. I love the fact that it can't be dodged as well. Guaranteed critical hit, so you load up on some crit damage with him. Really cool. And gains invisibility, an accuracy increase, debuff immunity, and a damage increase for 2 turns. Restores 50% turn meter. At tier 7, this is, but still. So we're seeing the Delman synergy. We're seeing the Wonder Lua synergy with the invisibility, because when he gets invisible, oh no, he doesn't do any more damage when he's under invisibility, at least under Forest Shadow. And passive ability, Sniper Specialist at level 6. Talius gains 40% crit strike damage increase, an additional 5% for each living elf in the party. I was just saying about his crit damage increase. This guy's going to be crazy good, and he's going to really pump out some crazy damage. Interesting. I want to see how he's released. Interesting. Very interesting. So theory crafting, you know, we're obviously, I don't think he's going to be played very much outside of elves, because you're going to lose. No, you won't lose his whole passive. This guy's going to be, I got to think more on him, but he's going to be good. So there is this mid patch, and this mid patch to me, mid-month patch, was way better than the first patch, being completely and 100% honest. But they didn't address things that are still going on in the game. Now, we got some good steps. The endgame players feel like they got something here to work with. Some of these T7s, although you might not want to do them all, there's at least one in each kit that's going to benefit everybody, right? So that is a positive to me. Now, but my problem is we still have an abundance of ads. Now, I'm still getting 5 to 6 ads sometimes before I can even get into the game. That needs to be addressed still. Like I said, 1 or 2 ads is perfectly fine. 5 or 6 is just downright annoying and frustrating. But the offers themselves, I'm going to say it again, are still very good. But we still don't have anything in here about a set rotation of when characters are coming out, where we can farm certain characters. You know, we still don't have any place to farm Wukong almost 3 months later. That's a problem. Those need to be addressed, and maybe that isn't something that gets addressed in a mid-month patch. I get it. But this patch is, to me, solid. It's solid. It's a good one. I'll take it. I really can't point at like one thing and be like, oh, this is crap. This is horseshit. Blah, 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 blah. That's not how it is. Very solid patch, and it's a good step, but we got to take it a lot further, if that makes sense. So with that being said, my friends, that is my patch notes breakdown, looking at the T7s, T8s, talking about them a little bit. I miss the hell out of all of you, and I cannot thank you enough. I'm still gaining subs, and I haven't made a video in a week, so awesome. It's just truly, truly amazing, and I love you all. I'll see you in the next one. Let me know what you thought about this patch, and what is your favorite Tier 7, Tier 8 ability. See you in the next one. I'm out.